What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're finally taking a look at Flight Simulator 24 here on the Steam Deck, and this has been a very frustrating game the past week since its launch to try to test really on any of the handhelds or any devices. Of course, it had its launch problems not working at all, but it's also got its own unique Steam Deck issues as well. There does appear to be a fix out for this that I'll show you guys. It didn't work for me, but I've heard it's worked for a few people, so we'll take a look at that. But anyways, getting into Flight Simulator here on the Steam Deck, on SteamOS first, and then we'll take a look at Windows. Now, if I launch this game without putting any compatibility layers, just, download it, launch it, don't force any Proton layers or anything like that, or even if I do force pretty much anything but the beta experimental we'll take a look at in a minute, it will have the pop-up that winds up crashing the game eventually once you get in there, which is this right here, the assertion failure that you can hide in the background and kind of continue loading the game for quite a while, all the way up to about 49%, but this will pop up again and it will crash the game. So I've never been able to get in that way. Now, recently there was a fix that was added to Proton Experimental's beta channel. So into properties and compatibility, we've forced Proton Experimental, but also switched it over to the Bleeding Edge beta, which is supposed to have a fix, which kind of helped me out, but I still can't get into the game. But I do want to show it in case it helps you guys out. So go into your library and search for Proton, go find your Proton Experimental, and then you're going to want to go into the gear icon over here to properties, and you're going to have betas down here in the middle. Select that, and then you'll have an option over here. It probably says none for you right now in beta participation. That's the default. You're going to want to come down here and select the Bleeding Edge latest and untested. This does have a fix in it that stops that pop-up, but I'm still crashing in the game for whatever reason for me and not able to get in. But I've heard this is working, so it might be worth a try. But anyways, I'll show you what happens to me here as I get into the game just like I did before. And I won't get that pop-up anymore, which is great, and I was hoping it was going to work, but for me, it just winds up freezing up. The screen going black's pretty normal and expected with this fix, but it still just hangs up here for me in the 49%. It never will finish here, kind of disappears on the bottom. The overlay freezes up, and then eventually the Steam Deck will reset itself. So it disconnected from my Elgato capture card and then winds up resetting itself. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I've been contending with there. A fix that might work for you. Didn't work for me, unfortunately, yet, but I will continue trying things here and trying to get it to work. Right now, Xbox Cloud Gaming is really the only way for me on Steam Deck that I've been jumping in the Flight Sim. The game's not on GeForce Now just yet, so that would be the better option, and hopefully it'll be over there soon. They did say it's coming, but right now on Xbox Cloud Gaming, I am able to jump in and play very easily on the Steam Deck. It runs 30 FPS on the console, but it runs just fine there and looks pretty good. So even if you could get it to run though on SteamOS, and most of you might with that fix, performance is still going to be pretty rough, 20 to 30 FPS most of the time. We'll jump over here to Windows and take a look at some performance, which will give you a general idea as well what we have here. So going into settings, we're mostly going to use FSR2 and bounce, but we'll take a look at TAA. We're going to be on low end, but you can certainly come down lower than that. And I recommend certain things with the terrain and stuff, you do go ahead and bring down lower to try to get anything more you can out of the game. It'll help you out, but I just use the presets here to make it easier for the video. We'll also take a quick look at medium, but again, I would actually try to bring things down lower than the low end that they have there to help you out a little bit. But anyway, starting this off with the low end preset FSR2 quality here for Windows, 4 gigs of VRAM, 800p. And again, performance is going to be 15 to 30 FPS, depending on where you're at, depending on how you tweak your settings, TAA, FSR, all that kind of stuff. But in general, most of this game I'm playing in the 20s, so that's something to be aware of. If we go in here and we change this from our quality FSR, we'll go back to balanced, which is what I've been using. You can even go to performance, but it only helps so much, and with all the fine detail in the game, it does get to look pretty fuzzy, so I didn't really wind up doing that too much. But FSR2 balanced here with the low end preset. Again, I think if you bring down a few more things, it will help. But either way, you're playing this game 20 to 30 FPS with occasional dips under that 20 if you're in areas that get like pretty populated or it's streaming data or that kind of thing. So we'll go in here and make another change to our settings. I want to switch off of the FSR and we'll go over to TAA 50%, which surprisingly looks pretty good. That's a little bit less on the res scale than what balanced is. Balanced, I think, is 56%. And yeah, it actually does a really good job, looks pretty clean, and performance is very similar. So if you want to go TAA, you could. However, I was getting some more heavy frame drops with that versus FSR sometimes, and I'm not quite sure how performance would be later on. So I did wind up sticking with FSR, but TAA seemed to be a decent enough option as well. Now going back to FSR2 balanced, if we switch over to medium preset just for science, just to see what it does, obviously not going to be playable on the Steam Deck. I even struggled with medium on the Z1 Extreme handhelds as well to get those to run, but just to do it here, I figured I wouldn't. It becomes pretty stuttery and a slideshow mess and pretty low FPS, so yeah, that's what I expected from medium here considering how everything is running. But again, for science, we'll turn it on and take a quick look there anyways. But moving back over to our low-end preset, FSR2 Balance, 4 gigs of VRAM, 800p here on Flight Sim for Windows 11. Yeah, performance is going to be all over the place depending on where you're at. 20 to 30, 15 to 30 FPS, and you'll be all right. Now, I did jump around to a bunch of different areas to try this out, and performance was pretty consistent. And I'll have a few of those pop up on the screen here. And as far as SteamOS, it's a shame for me. I can't get that fix to work. I reinstalled the game, you know, did as much as I could there to try it. Tried the experimental beta, tried a bunch of command line options I was told to try, and things like that. Nothing for me has been able to get this game to launch on SteamOS, unfortunately. However, I have heard for a few people that newer fix I showed in the video is working okay. And over on Windows 11, I haven't had any crashes or any problems, but obviously performance is pretty rough, and I would expect that it probably would be over on SteamOS as well. But that's pretty much what we're looking at for now anyway with Flight Sim 24. It's been quite a long road for me trying to test this game and get it working here and do the videos, and I'll follow it as we get updates and performance gets better. They fix things to hopefully run better or launch it all for me. We'll cover that more in the future and see how the game does. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video as always. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.